Hello everyone, welcome back to the Testo tutorials. Today we're going to learn about the tests hierarchy in Testo-lang. Also, we're going to cover the test spec command line argument. In Testo Framework, tests almost never can be standalone. Instead, they're organized into trees, or to be more precise, into forests. In the roots lay basic tests, from which derive children tests. Each test can have several parents and several children. The most important thing you need to know about the test trees is this. Each test can be run only when and if all its parents passed successfully. If any of the parents had failed, then the child test would be marked failed by default. Here's an example of a real test tree. There are two test branches, one for the server preparations and one for the client preparations. In the end, they go into the same child test, test pink. Let's write down this tree in the terms of Testo-lang scripts. Describing test parents is easy. You get your test, then place colon, and then write down the parents divided by commas. Take a note that the test pink has two parents. We're not going to actually fill up these tests. For now, we're just mocking tests with print actions. The print action does pretty much nothing. It just prints out a message to the stdout. Let's run this test tree and take a close look at the tests queue. Just as we expected, first the parents are processed, and only then the children. Test ping is run the last, because it's at the bottom of the tree. Okay, now let's check out what's going to happen if one of the parent tests fails. We're going to fail the server install Ubuntu test with the abort action. When we run the tests, and keep in mind that we dismiss the stop and fail argument, then we'll see the cache loss warning. Caching is the subject of the next video, and now we're just going to quietly accept it. Of course, the test now fails, alongside with all its children, and test ping is not an exception, it also fails. Okay, now when we've got that covered, let's move on. By default, Testo will run every test it can find, and sometimes you just want to run one or two tests, you don't want to run all of them. That's why Testo has test spec command line argument. With this argument you can specify the name of test you want to run, or a template matching several test names. Okay, back to business. Let's try to run the server prepare test. First, we're going to remove the abort action, so the install Ubuntu server test would pass OK. Then, we specify its name in the test spec command line argument. In the tests queue, we can see only three tests, the server prepare test and its parents. Why the parents are there? Well, as I said, you can't run the children tests without the parent tests, so Testo detected all the dependencies automatically and added the missing tests to the queue. You can also specify a template in test spec. For example, the client asterisk template would match all the tests starting with the words client. There is also the exclude argument, which does the opposite job. It excludes certain tests from the tests plan. I'll leave it up to you to learn by yourself. There is one very important restriction in tests tree in Testo Framework. If a test has one or more parents, then you can't have the situation when the same virtual machine participates in several parent branches. This also applies to flash drives, but we'll cover that later. An example. We have the test ping with two parents. This works fine because one branch has only the client machine and the other only the server machine. But if we added the client machine to the server parent branch, then we would get an error. Just keep in mind that this kind of situation is prohibited and you just need to prevent it from happening. And so, that's all you need to know about the test hierarchy in Testo Framework. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.